kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with her out. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Fields, going fast with a girl named Bo. Somehow I just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I've died for a living in the movies and TV. The hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies. Some of the guy want them better keep my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Red Fort such a star. Well, I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten been of a charity blown at the Rockhill Welsh. But when I went up in the air, it's only hey, hey, hey. I might jump an up and road bridge or Tarzan from the vine, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that makes this wood look so fine. They will never make me president, but I got the best first ladies. Some days I got them as far as the eye can see. Oh, we a morning dive with Jackie Smith, I crash in the night with Cheryl, but in the end they never stay with me. Oh, I might fall from a tall building so Burt Reynolds don't get hurt. I might leap a mighty canyon so he can kiss and flirt, while that smooth talker's kissing my girl. I'm just kissing dirt. Yes, I'm the boneless man that made a lover out of bird. Kind to kiss and tell, but I've been seen with her out. I've never been with anything less than a 9. So fine, I've been on fire with Sally Fields, going fast with a girl named Bo. Somehow I just don't end up as mine. It's a death-defying life I lead. I take my chances. I've died for a living in the movies and TV. The hardest thing I ever do is watch my leading ladies. Some of the guy want them better keep my knee. I might fall from a tall building, I might roll a brand new car, 'cause I'm the unknown stuntman that made Red Fort such a star. Well, I've never spent much time in school, but I taught ladies plenty. It's true I hire my body out for pay. Hey, hey, I've gotten been of a charity blown at the Rockhill Welsh. But when I went up in the air, it's only hey.
And
hey,
one, and we are live. Welcome everybody once again to Wizard World Virtual Experiences as the crowd emojis wildly. Let's see all those emojis. Welcome to Thursday night. We know you have other options of entertainment this evening, including the worst of the worst, a battle of two horrible football teams. It's the Giants versus the Eagles tonight, everybody. And we know you could be watching the Giants versus the Eagles or someone else versus someone else. There's also
saved you from all that.
Apparently there's another important battle going on this evening. But hey, in case you missed it, we had an amazing panel. The Fall Guy, it's their first reunion in, I think, ever, like doing a panel reunion, right, Jerry? And Jerry was awesome enough to moderate that for us. And this is the first time Jerry and I are hanging out on screen together in the 7 months that we've been doing these virtual experiences. So thanks for hanging out, Jerry.
I'm glad I get to do this. Usually one of us is in the background telling the other one to start. And
Yep.
Here we go. And now we both tell each other to start.
Now we're hanging out together. We're hanging out to you. Hey, we see hashtag the Fall Guy literally watching right now on YouTube. Fall Guy watched it and can't wait to rewatch it again. And so that's what we're doing. Genie4 is like, what exactly is a rewatch? And that is a great question, Genie4, because Genie4 is one of our regulars who's always hanging out on Twitch watching our panels. This is a fun opportunity for us to replay and re-show and re-celebrate some of our favorite moments from our free panels while giving color commentary the whole way. So I'm here, Mike, one of your regular moderators and in charge of programming at Wizard World. Jerry, again, another regular moderator and our PR person for Wizard World are here. And we have a very special guest waiting in the corners, Jerry Milani. So should we welcome him out as well?
Yes. Bring him out.
This gentleman works for Dangerous Entertainment and has connections to all of the hottest celebs, including Lee Majors and Bruce Campbell. Single-handedly put together both that Bruce Campbell versus Ted Raimi panel, which we'll have a teaser of at the end, and the Fall Guy panel with Lee Majors just this weekend, Doug Barr and Heather Thomas. And we're very excited to bring him out. But that's not all he does. No, he is an actor and stuntman known for working on over 50 productions, most recently and most nerdily, which is the most important here at Wizard World, Fear the Walking Dead, Tenet, The Mandalorian, Ash vs. Evil Dead, and we hear he has a secret part and a subsequent movie film that will go unnamed that might be releasing in the next couple of days. Please welcome to the virtual stage. Let's hear from Mike Estes.
Right. There he is.
How you doing, fellas?
Oh my gosh, Mike, thanks for joining us. This is actually our first official. We've done a couple of replay videos of these panels, but this is the first time we have a celebrity guest joining to watch it with us. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you doing this.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It's good to be here with you guys.
Of course.
Very excited.
We've got people tuning in right now from Michigan, from New Zealand. They love staying up. It's Friday, 2 p.m. Actually, they didn't even stay up. It's the next day. Welcome, Linda Angela, New Zealand. I remember Linda Angela put in a ton of questions over the weekend in the Fall Guy. Was curious about how they could see more because they have season 1 out there on DVD, but they don't have the further seasons. So thanks for helping out. This is a lot of fun. Joe Henrique Merge said you should do this more often, the kind of seeing behind the scenes of the shows. So we appreciate you all for being here. Cheers from Brazil. Cheers from Brazil. He's watching from Brazil. Mike, let's get started. Again, you know Lee personally and professionally. You brought him to us, and we're super ecstatic to have him on the panel that Jerry hosted this weekend, in addition to the other cast members. One of the most touching things I heard was right beforehand, you got giddy yourself, and you were very emotional about this show and being a stunt man. Really, the only TV show that really focuses on the stunt persons behind the scenes, that was fully about stunt people. Tell us a little bit about your connection to the show, your fandom to the show, and how that ultimately led to your career as a stunt person.
Well, the whole reason I'm a stunt guy in the first place is because of this show. Awesome. So I just put that out there. Lee Majors was and still is one of my biggest influences, and he's a dear friend. I'm very lucky to call him a friend. He is not even probably, he is the coolest guy I think I've ever met in my life. He's just genuine, nice, honest, and real. And he did his stunts in his show, which not a lot of guys can say they did, So he's the original badass. He really is. And you got to give it to Lee Majors for just being awesome. So anyway, yes, I know Lee on a personal level. I met him out in Atlanta 1,000 years ago, and now I am lucky enough to represent him in the Comic-Con world, and was part of a very cool. Lee was part of a very cool thing that I was a part of as well, called Ash vs. Evil Dead, that we shot out in New Zealand.
So good,
yeah. So great show. Lee played Bruce's dad, which is, I don't know if you could cast a better character than that. They're both just incredible. So Lee is my influence for what I do, why I'm here, as is Bruce. Bruce is also. So to put these two packages together, the Ash vs. Evil Dead, which I worked on myself, which was awesome. Yeah. And the Fall Guy thing, which was a whole influence of all of this anyway. If it weren't for those two, I wouldn't be sitting here with you. So it's full circle, and I'm grateful to be here with you guys and talk about my connection to it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thank you so much. Can you show us the tat? Show us that
the Evil Dead one?
No, the don't you have the symbol on the car too?
No, that's coming. That's
Oh,
coming.
that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted.
I'm
Nice.
getting it. Yes, I'm getting that. I have the Ash versus Evil Dead. That was part
Oh,
of
that's
my,
what you flashed. Yeah.
yeah,
Nice.
part of my role over there. But I had the truck. I had the plastic truck, the toy back in 1984, and I had the decals and the stickers and the T-shirts and the pajamas and the Power Wheels and the Hot Wheels, and I was Fall Guy from A to Z, head to toe. Yep, there it is.
There's that truck. That's so cool. Some of the comments coming in from the fans. Renea says Lee Majors is awesome. Gary Collins says love Heather Thomas. Jeannie Four says stunt people don't get nearly enough credit. And yeah, we agree, Jeannie Four. They're the heart of a lot of our favorite action films. Jerry, talk a little bit. You were super stoked. We have this funny kind of spreadsheet behind the scenes where there's like whole column where you put the moderator in, and I have access to it and Jerry has access to it, and Jerry is always quick on the keyboard to put his name down for the panels that he will not give up, the ones that he needs to moderate, and his name was right next to the Fall Guy before I even knew it was announced. Jerry, tell me a little bit about your fandom and how cool it was to interview these folks, and then we're going to get to for those watching, we're going to watch a bunch of the clips from the panel in just a bit.
In a way, Mike, it's not fair. I kind of sometimes get an advance notice that a panel that might be of my interest, and it might be on the Monday call that you're not on, or the Tuesday call, or one of the crazy calls. And if I get kind of wind that there's going to be something that I'm interested in, I try to put my name in there and then try to make that sell where you can't change the name. So that's going to be a Jerry one. But yeah, I mean, obviously with Lee Majors, when it first popped up that he was doing the $6 Million Man with Lindsay, I wanted to make sure that I did that one. My fandom of that show, that's probably my first favorite show that I remember as a youth, was $6 Million Man and Emergency were the two shows. I'm a little bit older than you, so I actually saw $6 Million Man and Emergency in its original run.
Wow.
And later on it was on in reruns and watched it. But with the Fall Guy, it was just a natural follow. If you love a show when you're that age, then that actor that you like is on another show, you watch it. So I remember watching it, as a young teen. It was 1981 to 84, 85 that it ran. So that would be, my young teenage years there. So for me, it was the extension of a character that I really liked. And, it was weird. I was talking to Mike E here before we got on and just said, the thing about the Fall Guy is that it wasn't the kind of show that was shown over and over again for years and years. It wasn't one that, like Emergency was on for years. Hawaii Five-0 was on. That's my other favorite show of youth. That was on. I only saw it in reruns, though. It was on in reruns all the time on Channel 9 in New York. It was on all the time. You couldn't miss it. Fall Guy didn't have that. So for me, remembering how much I enjoyed it as a youth, sometimes you don't want to go back and watch those shows that you loved as a youth because you're afraid it's not going to live up, or you're like, I loved Emergency when I was young, and then when it was on again, I realized how great it really was. But there are other shows that I watched then, and you go back and watch them now, and they don't. And Fall Guy, it's of its time. It certainly fits what the 80s is, an early 80s show, but you can watch it and enjoy it. There's a humor in there. You can see after Lee and Doug and Heather, that there's a humor in there that makes the show watchable now still, even if like maybe the writing and the stories aren't what you think, a top level story. It doesn't matter because you love the characters and it's fun. And for me, getting to talk to the three of them was really a dream for me. I loved it.
That's so cool. Benton S. King says, I loved Emergency and $6 Million Man. Always liked the Fall Guy a lot as well. Let's take a look. This is them kind of kicking things off at the beginning of the panel with just a little bit about how the show started. We're going to hear them a little bit talk about the show starting, doing their own stunts, that iconic song, and of course some of the amazing guest stars that came out. So here we go. Clip from the panel, and it's a rewatch party. So we're going to be watching along with you. If you want to see the panel in full, head to any three of our platforms, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. Click on the video section. You'll be able to watch the full 50-minute panel. It's definitely worth it. But here's a fun clip.
Just kind of generally ask, and Lee, you probably have the best knowledge of this, but if Doug and Heather want to kind of pitch in, how did the series get started? Did Glenn Larson have you in mind for the series? And then, Doug and Heather, how did you guys get involved?
Glenn had this project that he was kind of working on. And so I ran into him at an airport terminal, to tell you the truth. And he said, and I had just finished the $6 Million Man, and then before that, about 3 other shows, series. And so he said, would you like to do another series? And at that time, I said, well, I don't know, man, I've got pretty burned out already. But I said, what do you got? He said, well, it's a stuntman who moonlights as a bounty hunter. I said, sounds good. All right, we'll do it. And that was about it, in an airport terminal. And then a few months later, he called and we went over to his house. He has a house in Hawaii that he would do all his writing. And I think we had a pretty good idea of who was going to play Jody. So Heather joined us over there as Glenn was still doctoring the script. I think we probably both picked our names at that time. I said, I like Colt. How about you, Heather? Did you like Jody?
I had no say in it whatsoever.
Anyway, let me tell you another thing. You know, Glenn Larson, by golly, I mean, when he asks you to do something, here's a man, by the way, he passed a couple years back at age 77. Yeah. You know, he did Magnum PI, he did Battlestar Galactica, let's say Quincy, Knight Rider, McCloud, Takes a Thief. And I mean, he's had so much success. I mean, to say no to Glenn would be kind of stupid if you want to work in this business. So that's how we kind of got it started. And of course, the role of Jody, that was pretty easy. I mean, we needed a beautiful lady. And as you know, somebody coming through the Batwing doors in the title, that she gained a pretty big fan group there. And a lot of people tuned in the show for her. Then, of course, Doug Barr was cast as Howie. And I know he didn't like that name probably, but it had to be, he was kind of like a Harvard graduate or something, you know, Ivy League kind of guy. And he would dress that way also. And I know he had to, like, you know, he's a pretty physical guy anyway, but he had to calm himself down, you know, for this character to make him just right. And I just think we couldn't have picked a better guy. Doug Barr and Heather Thomas, they were great, and they added tremendous value to that show.
It's so amazing to hear that from the star, you know what I mean, of a show like that. You know, it could be. And then if you watch the full panel, they go into this a lot, just the camaraderie that they all had, and really it was a family on set. And there's a really beautiful moment where that Lee compliments Heather just on kind of rolling with the punches. You know, they make a lot of jokes of like, oh, you were brought in because you were the pretty face. You obviously got a lot of attention because of that. But she was like, no, everyone was really sweet and everyone was very respectful on that set, which was super awesome to hear. Yeah, Mike, were you gonna say something? Yeah.
No. It's so nice. Again, like you're saying, it's so nice to hear that the cast can get along. Because if you have a cast that doesn't get along, like one lead doesn't like, you know, the sidekick or whatever. I mean, I've seen it go down. It could take down a whole ship.
Mike, do you have? Yeah, out of all your, and my gosh, like being on so many action movie sets, there's got to be so many moving pieces. You know what I mean? With especially for safety, but also trying to get the shot and everything. Was there a particular set that stands out to you as being particularly warm and you know, the camaraderie was just really great, and you know, all the people were awesome?
Well, yeah, the Ash vs. Evil Dead set was incredible. The Kiwis are just, I don't know if you can meet a nicer person than a Kiwi. And they're just cool. There's, hey, you know, it's just cool, you know. So that was cool. Really warm, nice people. Tenet was cool. Tenet was a lot of fun because it was a huge core group of military stunt guys that were out in Joshua Tree that were just, you know, it's like going to boot camp together, and you know how tight people can get at boot camp. So you stick a bunch of stunt men and women together in the desert for a month, they're going to get tight and they're going to have each other's back. So that was cool. That was a very warm and cool set. I got to jump out of a helicopter in that one too. So
yeah, nice. In the final scene, the sort of final attack scene. Yeah.
When Yuri, I was part of the core military team throughout, and then I also doubled the Yuri, the lead bad Russian guy.
Oh, yeah.
So when he jumps out of the helicopter, actually, I did it forward. He goes up backwards. That was me. So lots of military stuff, and it was a fast rope. It was no harness, no wires, no nothing. I was attached to nothing. I had a Navy SEAL pal with me in the chopper, the Soviet chopper, and it was just, you grab that rope and you have to slide all the way down as fast as you can. 4 stories, man. It was intense, but it was a lot of fun.
And then that's something cool about this show, Mike, is that for the first time, like Mike G said before, this was a show about the stuntmen and about the stunt. It was the second thing, the second part with the bounty hunter, but you got to live a little bit of that when you're watching the show. You're watching, almost like you're watching a show being made. How many episodes of this was Lee with another famous person, and the famous person is playing themselves, and you're seeing this team of 3 stunt people doing the stunts or showing that little behind the scenes. So it's like a show within a show.
It is
kind of neat. And maybe there were other shows later that did that. This is one of the first shows that really did show within a show.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they did it well. They really did showcase the ins and outs of behind it.
There's the next clip is about doing those stunts. A lot of the stunts that they did, and then some of the people that they brought in. So let's check it out.
And was there a stunt that you wish you got to do on the show? You guys were stunt people, but you didn't get to do all your stunts. Were there some that you got to do?
I did a lot of my own roller derby because I could roller skate really well. So I got to train with the LA. What were they? The LA. Who was the team?
Oh,
Valderas
some of those old roller derby.
Anyway,
other jolters and all of those.
2 days, and the bank track, I was considering changing careers. I loved it. That's all stage 2. When you're blocking, they're holding on to your shorts. So when you're hitting somebody, they're holding on to your shorts so they're not going to really fall. Or when they fake break your back, it's kind of like wrestling. The Thunderbirds, the LA Thunderbirds.
I remember. That's right.
Yeah.
In that era, they let actors actually do. These days, it's much safer and controlled when you have actors doing stunts. But in those days, they really let us do almost everything with the mantra of shoot it, and if something happens, just make sure you get the close up before he swells. And so that was really the way it was done.
I think I told you that line.
I think that happened to you, actually. You hit your
that happened to me in Big Valley when I was with Linda Evans riding down, just slowly riding down this little trail, and I see a rifle glint, the sun glint off the rifle, and I go off my horse and to take this, but she had a stunt lady in. There wasn't Linda at the time. I took the stunt girl off. We landed, rolled down into a ditch, and then. As I went to cover her, I was covering her because there was the director didn't say he was going to fire another shot, and he had a real gun. I mean, he had a real shot. He didn't tell us that, so it scared the heck out of Linda, and she jerked her head back and hit me right square in the nose. And it was about getting dark and trying to losing light. And I heard the director say, let's hurry and get his close up before it swells. That's where that line came from.
There was a stunt that we did that almost went wrong, that probably would have barbecued all of us. You probably remember this, Lee. We were doing an episode in which Lee was driving the truck. We were up north of LA. Lee was driving the truck. Brianne Leary from Chips was in between us, and I was on the passenger side of it. And they put a metal tray in the bed of the truck and put rubber cement on that so that they could create an explosion in the back of the truck, because the bad guys came in another car beside us, threw a bomb into the back of the car, and it was supposed to explode. Lee had a button on the steering wheel that was going to make that happen. So he had to time it and drive. But unfortunately, there was a long wait between when they said that probably a camera battery went down or something. By the time they painted that on there and we started driving and he actually pushed the button in the middle of the scene, the fumes from the rubber cement had built up. And when he pushed that button, there was a fireball that blew out the seal around the rear window behind our heads and filled the cab with black rubber smoke. And he kept driving to his great credit. We got that shot, but he kept driving. And there was literally a fireball. And I know they thought we were all dead at the end of that thing, because apparently it was an enormous explosion. We ended up.
He blew us up. Remember? He
In
blew
which
us up off a motorcycle too. That was the last of that special effects guy. We got a new one now. The guy, he almost burned you guys alive, and then he almost blew us up.
Oh God.
You guys blew up a lot of stuff, and none of it belonged to Colt. I mean, you'd borrow a boat and it would get blown up. You borrow a Winnebago, it got blown. I think everything you ever borrowed, Lee, as Colt, got blown up.
Well, every show that I've done, it's a lot of action, and then they put it in there. And Doug and Heather, we did a lot of our own stuff.
We did a lot of stuff.
And when I started in Big Valley, I started doing all my writing and fights and stuff, and it just became a habit. Of course, I was 23 at the time when I started, and so it just came out that way. And I kept doing them over and over for the rest of the shows. And but the only thing is now, at my age, I think back and I think, well, I wished I'd have used my stuntman more. Last year, I just had both knees replaced. They're bionic now. A whole bunch of stuff. Both shoulders are stoved in, and But I got to give credit to a stunt man on the show, Mickey Gilbert, and Mickey Gilbert was a tremendous, brave stuntman. You see most of those truck jumps. That's Mickey Gilbert. And I remember one we did where we were out somewhere outside of LA, and it's a straight little straight shot, make a left turn really quick. Well, he was to go off, keep going straight and go off the road and down below, probably, I mean, I don't know how far that was, but there was a barn, and he was to land on top of the barn with that truck. Well, he did it, and I'm up there watching, and as he goes off up into the air, sailing, and he's sailing, he goes clean over the barn and disappears out of sight. And we thought, oh my God, he's got to be dead. We don't know what happened to him. So we go down there, and he's already out of the deadgum truck, and he's swearing up and down, oh shit, I didn't do it right. He was so mad at himself. And the stuntmen, when they have a, I forget what it's called, Doug, a seat, a real cushion balloon type seat that they sit on, to give them some little padding, and that thing had burst.
Really?
And it was the craziest thing I ever saw.
Wow.
That guy did most all those high truck jumps, and that's Mickey Gilbert.
Yeah. He was.
Oh man, just
Mikey, is that a name that means something to you, Mike?
Mickey Gilbert, yeah. Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the names that'll live on forever.
Who are some of the other ones that you kind of follow as the best or the greatest of all time in the field?
Put me on the spot there.
Who's one?
Well,
Mickey Gilbert,
who I've worked with. They're some of the best. Well, let's just say, George Cottle for one. George Cottle is probably one of my all-time favorites. He did all the major action movies, still doing all the major action movies. He's doing, let's see, the new Spider-Man, did the last Spider-Man. He's incredible. George Cottle. Geez, I don't even know.
Mike, any near-death experiences for you yet? Yeah, we don't wish those on you, but it's so interesting to hear the stories.
Near death. The helicopter gag could have been near death.
Yeah,
easily. I did one. I fell off of a yacht. Did the gag without the watch on, and then did the gag with the watch on, where I was putting my arm. Watch got hooked on the yacht, and I flipped over the edge, and luckily the watch broke. But if it didn't break, it was like some weirdo Rolex or something. It was here, and it could have stripped my arm down to the bone. So not near death, but I could have lost my hand from that one. Broken legs, things like that. No near death experiences, but I have
but injuries.
Yeah.
Did you used to? Linda asked a funny question. So Linda Angela, watching from New Zealand, is question for you, Mike, being the stunt person on here. Did you ever, as a kid growing up, try and copy moves and things? They were saying that a lot of their friends and stuff would just copy the moves that they were seeing in movies and things, you know, because
Of
of the stunts that they were seeing in these big American movies, you know, in the USA.
Yep.
Was that something that you would kind of mess around with as a child and like as you watched your favorite action shows?
Absolutely. Yeah, me and
Yeah.
my buddy, we'd stage fight scenes, and we weren't cool enough to have cameras when we were little, but when we did get cameras, in our 20s or whatever, it was busted eyes and busted noses and people missing teeth and lots of bruises and scrapes from these dumb fights. But we eventually figured out how to do it for camera, and looks good now. At least we think it does. But yeah, lots of Fall Guy stuff, and all the stuff you'd see on like the Incredible Hulk, and all the bad guy stunts. The bad guy stunts were my favorites. Falling off stairs and things like that.
There's whole YouTube. There's very successful YouTube stars now that just film themselves falling off of things. So
my guess is the original Jackass. The Jackass the movie.
Keep your eyeballs peeled.
Oh, all right. Some more. What is his? What's Johnny Knoxville's the Bad Grandpa? It's not Bad Grandpa. What's his character?
Bad Grandpa. Yeah.
Bad Grandpa. Yeah. That's funny. All right, keep an eye out for that. People having fun in the chat. I'm talking about, that would have been a fun moment from the show to put on the bloopers. Rick Van Diver says, I have 4 Heather Thomas posters, heart, Heather, heart. A lot of talk about the GMC truck and its popularity during the 80s and things like that. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Hey, we've got some people asking some questions to the cast and about the show. Just know that Doug Barr and Heather Thomas, they're going to be doing paid one-on-one virtual chats this Saturday, October 24th. Those are still on sale in addition to autographs and video recorded messages. So head to wizardworldvault.com, click on the Fall Guy cast, and you can still get those one-on-one chats. And we're having a lot of fun rewatching some of our favorite moments from the panel, but don't forget to go back and watch the full thing a little bit later. We played the song right before the panel as part of the countdown. It's iconic, not only because it's a popular theme song, but because the star himself, Lee Majors, is singing it, and he has a very funny, grumpy reaction to the whole thing. So here's Lee after Jerry kind of prompts him about the song.
We know who sang the theme song. Lee, talk about the theme song and kind of how that got going and how you got your singing on for that.
Well, I did it reluctantly, to tell you the truth, because I didn't, I never thought of myself even singing anything, especially on record. But knowing that it's all the lyrics are about Colt Seavers, the stunt guy, himself. So, and they kept saying it makes more sense if you do it. You're singing about yourself. And I said, well, I'll give it a shot. And we did it, and it turned out okay. Hey, it was a #1 hit in Germany. But, David Hasselhoff had a #1 hit in Germany, too. So that doesn't really mean
Hey, look, whatever it takes, right?
Anyway, by the way, David Somerville, who wrote that song, that's how they really sold the show to ABC. We went up to the head of the network, and they said, well, what do you got? And Glenn said, it's a bounty, stuntman moonlighting as a bounty hunter. And he said, David, play the song. Well, he played the song on his guitar he had with him. And when he finished, the guy, the executive, looked at Glenn and us and said, well, go make it. That's how we got the deal.
And that's how they got the deal. Cut off the last word there a little bit. How funny is that initial reaction? You're expecting him the whole time, like, oh yeah, like I loved being a singer, and I'd always had these dreams of being a musician. But no, his straight up was like, I didn't really want to do it. They kind of made me do it.
Especially after he sang the Jamie song in $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
Not a great song, but he sang it. And no, I mean, when you're singing a theme song, the theme is fun. Like the theme song, we don't really have those anymore. Like you have short, I mean, they don't want to waste a minute anymore of the show when they only have 22 minutes or 20 minutes to work with, whereas they had more time to work with there, or 20 minutes an hour. They don't want to waste it now. So, the days of that great like Cheers theme song and Hawaii Five-0 and Fall Guy and Greatest American Hero, all the great theme songs you can think of, they're not going to be minute-long theme songs anymore. Even the reboot of 5-0 was a 30-second version of that great song.
Yeah.
So, it's a little piece. I don't know how many songs the lead character or the lead actor sings the theme song. Not too many of them.
That's a good quiz for our fans out there. Our fans are always great at giving us the answers in the comments. If you can come up with another show where the lead character sings a theme song, pretty obviously, I don't know. I can't.
Well, that leads in perfectly, Mike G, to Saturday. We're gonna have the Brady Bunch, and after season 1, the Brady kids, who became their own singing group, they sang the theme song starting with season 2. So we just answered one of our own questions.
Nice. We've got one final clip to watch, and just Linda says, thanks so much for organizing the virtual chats with Lee Majors, our TV hero of all time. Thank you. So that's a little shout out to Wizard World there. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Lyle Stevens says you guys should be watching the debate right now. Lyle, clearly you're multitasking as well. We're taping it.
No, we should.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Next order of business.
We're doing some quick escapism right now. Let us have our escapism. Let the folks that are watching us right now. Linda says, what a coincidence. I was just discussing the great TV themes of yesterday and how they don't exist anymore. So yeah, Linda chimes in. Let's take a look at this final clip from Fall Guy, and then we have a nice little teaser for some Bruce Campbell versus Ted Raimi, which will be reshown this weekend. And just a reminder there, Ted Raimi will be doing one-on-one chats as well. But this final clip, and we'll see how long we get into it. I might not play the whole thing, but so many great guest stars on the Fall Guy, and just interesting to hear the stories behind them. So here's a clip about those guest stars.
And a viewer has a great question. Wanted to know who some of your favorite guest stars were. This show was replete with guest stars, and I have a couple others I want to talk about, but I want to just have each of you just kind of tell a story about your favorite guest star, and then we'll talk about some of the other ones that you guys don't bring up.
Well, go ahead, Heather. Do you have somebody that you...
I loved working with John Matuzak. I ended up doing a movie with him about 6 years later. It was the craziest movie of the week. But remember when we had John Matuzak on?
Sure.
Yeah, and you guys took me to your doctor. You're picking up medicine or something, but I was hanging out with you guys. He was the nicest man. It was really fun. And there was another guy who did all the jokes. Who was that?
We had a lot of funny guys.
No, but the guy was super funny. Loved having him back.
How about you, Doug?
There are a couple that come to mind. This was the period in the 80s, the early 80s, in which a lot of and this is another testament to Lee. He's very loyal to his friends, and everybody knew who Lee Majors was in those days. And so there were guest stars that came on that were from the old movies, the black and whites, the old television shows, and current shows as well during that period. So we got to work with. It's a library of brilliant actors from those earlier days. Everybody from R.J.
Jim Coburn,
James Coburn,
Richard Burton,
who I didn't get to do a scene with, which I regret to this day, but I got to know pretty well at dinners at your house. He wasn't drinking in those days, and in fact, he would tell stories of his days in the theater in London in his youth, and I'd go home to my little apartment and I'd record exactly what he had said to me so I'd get him right. And I still have that little disc with stories about his days on the stage. My favorite of all of them, I have to tell you though, was Roy Rogers. I grew up watching Roy Rogers.
Oh yeah,
my hero.
There he is on screen right now.
There you go. And often heroes don't live up to it in person as you get to meet celebrities and politicians and people around the world. And I'll tell you what, Roy Rogers lived up to it 100%. I got to sing Happy Trails to You with Dale Evans and Roy Rogers on camera in an episode, ride a horse across the plains with him. And it was just incredible for me.
I remember, when you're young and cute, men tell you the goofiest stuff. I remember he was driving me around in a buckboard for like an hour or 2 hours when we were shooting this thing. And they start to tell you stories. And when you're young, I don't know why. He told me the story of he was a yodeler in Long Beach and he ended up in a fight and bit this guy's thumb off. That's my Roy Rogers story.
Who has two amazing Roy Rogers stories back to back? My gosh.
Very awesome.
So cool to hear both like a humorous story, but then also like a very endearing story as well, and both just awesome experiences. Gentlemen, we are about out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Jerry, this was fun to hang out in a call for the first time. Mike, thanks so much for popping up here. So cool to hear your insight and some of your stories as a stunt person. And I know your connection to Lee is an awesome one. So we appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Of course. We're going to watch one more clip. As a quick reminder, all of these panels are free to go back and watch in our video sections on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. So go watch that full panel. There's so many other good stories. We barely scratched the surface of some of the cool on-set stories from the cast of the Fall Guy. And again, as a reminder, Doug Barr and Heather Thomas are doing live one-on-one chats. Those are still available for purchase and in addition to video recorded messages and autographs, wizardworldvault.com. Lee Majors did his one-on-ones, but no spoilers yet. Lee Majors will return. So we'll.
And guess who's going to be doing his panel?
We hope Lee Majors will return for another exciting panel that we're putting together with Mike and Jerry and myself. So keep an eye out on the social medias for all of that. There might be a slight hint with our final clip. I don't want to give everything away here, but we had an amazing panel with Bruce Campbell and one of his longtime friends and co-stars, Ted Raimi. They have a comedy album. They do this whole bit together on stage. We've had him at our shows for years, doing game shows and panels. And we're going to be re-showing that panel this weekend. And just know that Ted Bruce's are sold out, but again, Bruce will be back for Last Fan Standing and potentially another panel coming up. But Ted is doing his one-on-one chats on Monday. So definitely take advantage of those. Those are on sale throughout the weekend. So whether you're watching this live or throughout the weekend, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Ginny Four is here. Susie Connolly says, thank you for so many years of pleasure, Lee. I don't know if there's a specific story behind that. First rewatch, so much fun, one of our fans said. But here we go. This is a final clip. This is a little teaser of the Bruce versus Ted Raimi panel. And this is Ted Raimi giving some of his own advice to all of you. So it's a nice little teaser of what you could get if you purchase that one-on-one chat with Ted this Monday. And
little stuff.
Sorry, thought I had it queued up, but we got one more coming up. Jerry, stall for time for a sec while I get
freezing.
while I get this final.
The other thing is I got to do that panel as well with Bruce and Ted, so that was a lot of fun last week. And of course, Mike does every other Thursday when we're not doing Bruce Campbell. He does his own whiz quiz.
Yeah, we'll be back next week for a Halloween theme. Thanks, that was a perfect stall. That's all I needed, Jerry. Here we go, our final clip for the night for tonight's The Fall Guy rewatch party.
If there was one bit of wisdom you could share, what would that be?
Ted.
Well, the big one is just don't fuck it up. But the other thing is, part two is this, honestly, if you're gonna pursue anything in your life, don't have a fallback plan.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'd say. If I got one piece of advice to give, do not have a fallback plan. If you're gonna meet a girl and you're gonna fall in love with her, don't go, I'm just gonna kind of date these other girls just in case this doesn't work out. No, because that won't work out. And I know this is true because it's especially true for acting. I have never once met an actor who, with any longevity, mild success or major success, who's ever gone the distance while having a fallback plan. So if they had a law degree or if they had a business degree, they'd always go back to that, because anything in life that is worth jack squat is it's too hard to get, and you're going to fall back on the easier thing. So don't do that. That's what I'd say.
Very fabulous, Ted. I'm very grateful that this industry has allowed both of us to travel extensively. And what I would say to Americans in particular, because there's only about 40% of us have a passport. The other 60% cannot leave the country if they had to. Don't listen to everything you see and hear. Don't believe the shit that you see and hear on your little screens, because it's manipulated.
Except this little screen.
Every headline is a manipulation to get you to click on it. Everything on the internet is a clickbait. Our show is clickbait, but it's the good kind. But the thing is, go to these places. If you think something's weird, or I don't believe somebody, or is Portland really what they say? Go there. Go there. I'm not telling you to travel and get COVID, but take your experiences in. I have different views of my own country now because of extensively how I've traveled, and you see how other shit works in other countries. New Zealand had the first place I've ever seen you could turn a light switch on or off. A kid could take a screwdriver in there, but if it's turned off, it's off. America, we're like, all right, we're on. We're ready to go. Yeah, plug it in, baby. The Kiwis are like, oh, I don't know. Maybe not. Let's turn it off. And there was the first one with the 2 buttons on the toilets. One for just a little bit. a bigger half moon symbol if you need a little more water. And I'm like, man, does that make sense?
Right, mate.
If you drop a bomb, let's take care of business. But if you haven't, why waste your
one will do?
Yeah. Well, just to be fair about New Zealand, it is amazing, and you're right about those 2 innovations. I'd never seen them before like 25 years ago, and yet they do have 240 volts coming out of those sockets. As opposed to
your shit like that.
I mean, yeah, if you were anything smaller than a rabbit, you'll basically die if you get near it. It's pretty deadly.
But the Kiwis, they're pretty hardy like that. Oh, yeah? Well, how much power can we get? Let's go 240.
What's this, matey?
I'm so sorry, our fans. We have multiple fans watching from New Zealand right now. I apologize, or maybe that's the greatest thing you've ever seen. No, yeah.
There's some backhanded compliments in there. I mean, like the flush thing. I mean, come on, that's innovative, right?
Awesome. Linda says that's where they met Lee Majors for the first time because he was filming Ash vs. Evil Dead. Met Lee at a Comic-Con in Melbourne. So yeah, the connections are all there. Again, on behalf of Wizard World virtual experiences, head to the Wizard World Vault for those one-on-one exclusive experiences. Continue to follow us for these free panels. And we will see you this weekend. A lot of fun and exciting stuff coming up. Jerry, tell everybody about the panels that are coming up this weekend.
Yeah, on Saturday at 4:00 Eastern time, 1:00 Pacific, we're going to have a Brady Bunch, and we just added Mike Lookenland and Susan Olsen to Barry Williams. So we'll have the 3 of them. Barry has been a frequent guest at Wizard World shows. Mike did a show with us years ago, and Susan, it's her first time ever. So I get to, I put my name in on that one, Mike. I beat you to that. So that's coming up on Saturday that I'm doing, and then we've got a couple other things coming up on Sunday. So a whole bunch of great stuff this weekend.
Yep. I think Doctors 6 through 8 and their companions are going to be here from Doctor Who on Sunday, and then some of the talk about stunt people. We've got some of the creature actors, the puppeteers and the flight stunt folks from Rogue One from the Star Wars universe will be here on Sunday as well. So that's going to be super fun. Yeah, to talk to them. But that's it for us. Follow us at Wizard World Virtual. Get your purchases at wizardworldvault.com. We're at Wizard World on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And we'll see you next time. See you, everybody. Thanks, Mike. Thanks for being here. Jerry, good to see you.
See you guys.